Once again, thank you so much for attending today's product overview webinar. My name is Dan Mayer, and I'm going to be giving us an overview of the award-winning Fairsail. So, introducing Fairsail, we are a global HRMS that is completely built in the cloud. By us being a true global HRMS solution, we are comprehensive and going to allow for global control over all of your HR needs. Fairsail is a very simple and easy product to use, and I think one thing that's very nice about this that you'll be able to see is we're not just simple and easy to use for the HR administration team, but also for your employment base and your managers as well too. We firmly believe that a system is truly only as good as how willing people are able to use it. And one of the things that we're able to facilitate with our solution is an extremely quick return on your investment, both from an implementation and from an adoption standpoint, which is going to deliver great value, once again, at your global level. Now, I had said that we are a very comprehensive solution. We are completely integrated. We are going to focus on a couple of just basic core high-level overview pieces of Fairsail today, but just keep in mind if you are interested in having additional conversations about what Fairsail is able to offer for your business, we can follow up with more detailed conversations of our capabilities of everything in the employment time that someone would have with you, from acquisition, the management of your people, internal communications, performance, development of your talent, and all the advanced analytics, planning, and reporting. I think something that's very powerful about this is Fairsail is really truly going to be your single system of truth for all of your HR needs. Now, you might be seeing in here all these different points and all these different elements that come together to build in HRIS. This is all going to take place in Fairsail, and none of this is going to be within siloed information. If your information is going to be in Fairsail, it's going to be available for you to be able to report upon and get your answers to, which is going to once again drive that global comprehensive solution that we offer as a product. A couple quick facts that we'd like you to be able to know before we move forward with the product. Fairsail is completely built on top of the Salesforce App Cloud, which is the world's #1 cloud platform. A couple things that's going to allow for us to be able to do is our integration engine that we have with Fairsail is exceptionally powerful, and it's very easy to be able to implement for us. This would be able to cover anything from your needs around global payroll solutions to your different benefits providers, even for your financial solutions. This is something that Fairsail not only does very quickly, it is very easy as well too. I had mentioned before we're a very simple product to be able to use both for your employees and your managers and your HR team. So we are highly intuitive, and that is intentionally done that way, so we're able to help drive adoption. Implementation at Fairsail happens fast. We have countless case studies of customers that have been live on Fairsail at a global level in 90 days or less. Just staying on that theme of us being simple and intuitive and easy to use to drive adoption, any internet connected device that you would have is a device that you are going to be able to use Fairsail on. So it doesn't matter if it's going to be your iPhone, your Android, your Samsung, your iPad. Any device that's connected to the internet is ultimately a device that you can have the full suite of everything that Fairsail will offer. We are a global solution, as I had mentioned before. We have end users in well over 100 different companies. On top of having end users in all of our different companies and being able to drive rapid return on investment, we've experienced 99.5 renewal rate in 2015. So not only are we able to get our customers live fast, but when we have customers, we aim to keep them for life and we keep them happy. So with that, what I'm now going to do is jump over into an example of what Fairsail can look like. Now, I'm going to give us an overview of Fairsail. We're going to interact with my environment that has been optimized for my demonstration today. So some of the things that you might be seeing, you're thinking to yourself, I might not use that, or I'm not seeing something that I would like to have added here. Keep in mind that this is something that Fairsail is able to add and remove very, very quickly with the simple check of a button. So if we get into performance management and you're thinking, I don't need performance management, that's okay. You don't need to use performance management. Also as well too, this environment that we are going to interact with is going to look and feel completely like an environment that's branded to your company. So things like your logos and your banner messages, your messaging on these different menu items here on the left-hand side, and what you're going to interact with here in the main section, you are going to have global control over how everyone interacts with this at a local level. So a little bit from a navigational standpoint, I did say that on this left-hand side, these are buckets of information that you're going to have control over. You can call these buckets of information whatever you would like. You could have as many as you would like of them. You could have as few as you would like of them. I think what's very powerful about this is think about all the different types of employees you would have in your organization. You might have some that it's very important for them to have an area where they can go in and access what documents are going to be available to them. Or if they're an onboarding employee, come into a section completely dedicated towards their new employment with the organization. You are going to have that control over how they are going to interact with the system. An example of what we're interacting with here is just a little bit of what a landing page can potentially look like. This is meant to be a system that drives engagement. So think of the things that would drive engagement. Maybe you're going to push out information from the system, like who your new hires are going to be and maybe whose birthdays are coming up. You might have an example where you want to be able to drop in things like a live Google widget or the ability to embed your Twitter profile. Maybe embedding a video that you would like for people to be able to watch and to interact with. This is going to be your system that drives engagement. Another very powerful area that's going to help drive engagement that we can facilitate, think of all of your internal communications. In your internal communications, normally that's just going to be a giant email blast across the business. If we are just blasting emails across the entire business, it's not going to be really easy for us to be able to track, first off, who all did it go to, when did it go out to them, but also when are people going to receive it? Did they interact with it? Did they engage with it? In this communication here, I'm able to distribute it to the group of people that I would like to have it be distributed to. They can read it, and then in this upper right-hand corner, I could ask them to please confirm that they have received this communication. So once I'm interacting and engaged with this system, now it's going to be a place where I also am going to be able to take control over how I would be able to have my personal data. I've built out a section here that's going to give an overview of how I'm able to navigate through my personal data. You'll start to see a pattern of how I navigate with the system. And this becomes powerful because if I understand how to navigate the landing page, I understand how to navigate my personal details, I understand how to navigate my time off or my performance management. I go to the bucket of information that I'm looking to go to. I can get a high-level overview on different tiles and tab widgets, and then I'll be able to drill down and take action on the specific tab. So this is an example of a section that's a little bit more focused on core. I come in, I can see my personal details. Maybe I've moved. Instead of sending out an email to my manager that I've moved or updating an Excel spreadsheet or bouncing between 5 different systems that I need to update my address in each and every single one of them, very quickly I can come in, update my address, hit save, and that's now going to be a part of my profile that's been updated and can be sent out to all the different places that it needs to be updated. Now, another thing of note that we're going to be able to see on this left-hand side here from a notification standpoint. Now, I came in and organically updated and took ownership of my information here. I might have a situation where there's a call of action for me to interact and engage with the system. I'm going to get these little notifications here. So under my personal details, there's one thing that I am being drawn to and asked to interact and engage with, my benefits enrollment. Here, I click on it. I can see the summarization of the benefits that I've interacted with and that I've selected up until this point. In the upper right-hand corner here, it's open enrollment, so I'm going to enroll. Now, I know I'm about to go through an example of what open enrollment can look like. In the event that open enrollment was closed and you would like to have a button here that allows for requesting of a life event change or something along those lines, that absolutely is something that would be able to be facilitated, and you would be routed through the right level of approvals there. But I click on enroll, and what we're really aiming to facilitate here is the complete elimination of your paperwork. So instead of going home and having paperwork across all the table and making my different selections and plans here, it's going to be in an easy to view, easy to interact with environment here. I can see all the different options that I can go to make my selections. I'll see the benefit that I've selected, the coverage, and the estimated cost. Now, I haven't made any of my elections yet because everything's going to be in red. What I'll need to do is I'll drill down, make my selection, and when we're done, we'll see that it becomes a green checkbox. Once all my checkboxes are green, I'll then be able to submit my selections to HR. I can see the different plans that are offered to me, even the ability to waive that plan. I can see what I previously had selected, so if I'm happy with what I've selected in the past, I can just continue to move forward and make that selection. If maybe I wanted to make a comparison against these two options, I could select them, and that's side by side so I can understand what's going to be the best fit for myself and my family's needs. I can make that. When I drill down, I can, in addition to seeing more information, make the specific election that I have in place. At the moment, I'm having it across my entire family. If I wanted to play around or maybe understand what's going to be the best coverage for me, I can make my different elections that I would need and see the estimated cost and see how it's going to impact me, change, and update itself. We hit our selection and we come back out. We see that something has been green and we're going to be able to move forward from there. This is just one simple way that we can help drive adoption. Another area that people we get lots of questions about would be something like absences and being able to manage my own calendar as an employee. By being able to come in here as an individual, I'm going to see my calendar that I'm going to have. I can see my complete balance of time as it's been accrued. I can see all these selections that I've made. So I have some provisional family medical leave that's coming up that I'm still waiting on being approved. I've had a couple of time off, and I'm also going to see that I've got my calendar here. Something of note, this is a global system. So at the moment, I'm interacting with this as a U.S. employee. I see things like Memorial Day off, Independence Day off, Thanksgiving. This is going to be the way that I'm going to interact with it. What you'll be able to see very quickly is I can take ownership of my information. In the same place that I would go to book time off, any other different absences that I would need. I don't need to go to different systems if I need to book paternity leave or if I needed to say that I was going to jury duty, any different type of absence. What's powerful about this as well too is it's going to be global. So if I logged in as a European employee, I would see the European holidays and calendars in front of me. I would have my time off calculated along those lines and all the different absences requests. All times I'm going to feel like I'm being a locally managed employee. Another bucket of information that we excel at, I've set up an area that's going to give me a high-level overview of my performance. As an individual, it's time for me to effectively manage my career. That could mean activities not just for the role that I currently have, but maybe I want to be able to build out a development plan for myself to be able to advance myself along in my career. It's going to follow the exact same pattern. If I come in, I see my high-level overview of my information and any of the tiles that I wish to be able to drill down into to get more detailed information and take action on any of these areas. Very quickly, I'm going to be able to interact with this. Now, you'll see that as I'm going through and navigating here, I've got a good idea seeing I've got one thing to take care of in here. I've got 3 things to take care of in here. If I ever just want to get a clean list of what do I need to do in the system today, very quickly I can click on my actions and I can get my clean list. I think what's powerful about this is that this is not just going to be the list of actions that I need to take care of for myself, but as a manager, what do I need to take care of for others as well too? Very quickly, I can come in, I can see, okay, I've got 360 reviews, I've got development plans that need to update, I've got to confirm someone's training here. Very quickly, I can come in and take action on that. On that note of me being a manager and effectively managing my team, I don't need to go to a different system in order to be able to do this. Down here, what you'll see below is in the same way that I would be able to navigate this information for myself, I will be able to navigate across my entire team. Very quickly, I've pulled up my team's calendar. I'm able to see that I've got some people that are taking time off at different levels. If I flip over to the next month, because there's not so much that's happening in June, I come to July, we're able to see an actual example of the global calendar in play. A good chunk of my workforce is in the United States, so they would have the 4th of July Independence Day off. However, Fred, one of my European employees, would not have that day off. The same way that I'm able to navigate performance management information for myself, I'm able to see at a macro level how am I able to effectively manage my team. Quick hit overview. If I wanted to drill in and take action on any of these different areas, I could. Maybe I want to be able to do something that's a little bit more analytical and development focused. Something like building out what my succession plan is going to look like. I see inside here a little bit of our succession plan has been built out. And I need to actually tab someone to be my successor. I think that maybe John Sheridan is going to be the individual that I would like to be able to add into my succession plan. Very quickly, I can navigate to John. Now, I went from looking at my full team's view to I'm now looking at John Sheridan, and I could take action on him as an individual. So macro to micro. Very quickly, I hit new. I'm going to state Vince Wilson is who I am, and I would like him to replace me, and I need to get John ready within 2 years. So I've updated my succession plan. The next thing that I actually need to do is to go into John's performance management section, and in the same way that I was effectively able to manage myself, I'm going to have that same level of interaction with John. So if I needed to effectively manage him for the role that he currently has, very quickly I can click on his tile. If I needed to complete his competency assessment or 360 review, I could hit start and be able to do so. Maybe I want to come in and see the details of previous assessment events. I've got that clean breakdown of results that are going to be available to me to be able to review how someone has completed. If I want to maybe come out though, and I'm going to say to myself, you know what, I also need to get him ready to be my successor within 2 years, I'm going to go over to his development plan. And in his development plan, I could build in competencies or skills or even development goals for him as well too. One of the things that maybe I want to be able to add to him is I'm going to add in one of his skills that are going to be ready. So very quickly, maybe I'm going to build out something that's very important for him is maybe adding in business law around intellectual property rights. He currently has no experience with that, and I need him to be ready at the end of the quarter. I state that it's going to be development needed, and we need him to be intermediate level. And I want to say maybe take some classes, read a book, essentially whatever you think the agreed action is going to be in order to satisfy the skill. Could be training, could be reading a book, whatever that needs to be, and to be effectively managed, that's now going to be a part of John. So if we went into John and looked at his skills, this is where we can then in turn effectively manage the skills, not just for the skills that he has, but also for the skills that he needs to be able to add in as well too. So intellectual property rights, when it becomes time to manage him along the way, this is where I would be able to edit and interact and engage with this skill. A couple other items of note that we get a lot of questions about and things that we can facilitate are things like the org chart as well too. Now keep in mind with our org chart, this is something that's going to be both live and interactive. I'm going to snap directly to where I fall in the organization on my org chart, but you'll be able to see that if I wanted to move around and look at it from different perspectives, even maybe go up the org chart, down the org chart, very quickly I'm going to be able to navigate and gain a clean understanding of where I fall within the organization. It's both live as well too. So as a business grows and changes, downsizes, people move from one location to another, one manager to another, that's something that can become quite burdensome on updating and maintaining what is our authentic org chart. We regularly hear situations where someone updates their org chart. It took them a month to build it, and by the time they distribute it, it's already out of date all over again in Fairsail at all times. If there's a new hire, they simply join the organization, and if they were part of Vince's team, they would appear here. If we were moving from one manager to another, so maybe someone like Charles Klein, we moved him to work for John's team to Kim's team. If we moved him to work from John's team to Kim's team, it would be automatically reflected here on the org chart. There's not going to be this situation where you maintain it in one system and then have to maintain it in another as well too. Couple items of note before we jump over to the HR administration side and show you some of the answers that you can get from Fairsail. I just want to reinforce that at all times I'm going to interact with this as a locally managed employee. So I was interacting with this as a U.S. employee. I saw a U.S. calendar. I saw everything was going to be in English. I saw everything was going to be in the U.S. dollar. If I needed to have different information available to me for my personal details, so instead of a social security number, if you were to have a different identification number that would be in place, that would be a field that that employee would see. If they need to see it in a different language, it would appear in a different language. If it needed to be in a different currency, it would be in a different currency. At all times, I'm going to feel like a locally managed employee. It also is, once again, only going to show you what you are allowed to see. So I was interacting with the system who had quite a bit of information they could see. I'm fairly high up. I could see a lot of different information about different employees. If I wanted to come in, interact with John Sheridan right here and, request that we move him from one department or one location to another, that is power that is given to me and that I have access to. However, I'm not going to be allowed to see or do anything about an individual that I don't have the rights or the permission to be able to interact with. If I click here, for example, on my manager, the only thing that I'm going to be allowed to do with my manager is to come in and maybe give her a virtual high five or some type of ad hoc informal feedback that's going to facilitate communication between the two of us. At all times, I'm going to only interact with the system in the way that I'm allowed to interact with the system. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to jump over to the HR administration side of the system, and you'll see that the interface looks quite different from here, and that is by design. One thing of note, I just want to reinforce this. I didn't go anywhere differently. If I have access to the administration side of the system, I just click administration and I'm interacting with the administration side of the system. If I click on the administration side and I want to go back to the employee side here, I'll be able to very quickly do so. So in the HR administration system, what you're going to be able to see and do here is interact and engage with quite a good amount of information. Very, very important concept inside of Fairsail. Any piece of data that you define as core HR information is ultimately data that's available for you to be able to report upon. If you're able to report upon it, you are then able to assemble it into these highly visual dashboards in order for you to be able to get your global insight into your organization. I've got a couple of examples of what these dashboards can look like, but something of note here is that you are going to have complete control over the number of dashboards that you have and what you put inside there. This is not going to be a situation where it's going to require scoping or implementation or anything along those lines. This is true drag and drop analytics from the Fairsail. So what an example here of the type of answers you can get is straightforward business answers to your business questions. How many people work for us? What type of generations do we have in our workforce? What type of people do we employ? Not only am I just seeing the visual here, but I can also see the percentage splits and breakdowns across this team. How old is our workforce? If I wanted to go to a different area of the system and get insight there, remember, in Fairsail, your data does not live in a silo. Very quickly, if I wanted to get overview on talent across our organization, I can come over to a focused dashboard around talent. Maybe I wanted to come over and get overview on how we're doing against our salary plan. Very quickly, I can click on that dashboard and get my answers all the way down across your full life cycle of the things that you would need to get across your workforce. So recruitment. I think what becomes very powerful about this is from here, if I now want to look at this information and drill down and get to the more analytics of it, I can click on that and it's going to take me to the specific report giving me the exact details of this information. Keep in mind, this truly is at the global level. So what I'd like to be able to do is to open this up to any questions that people might have. What you can do is to navigate to solution of GoToWebinar and type into the questions box any questions that you might have. Yes, I'm getting the question around historical data tracking. Around currency, yes. So as I'd said before, we are multi-currency. So that is at all times you are going to be able to allow people to, in this side of the system, and be able to report upon as well too. So if I need to get all my answers in euros, or if I need to see this all in US dollars, regardless of what we're paying them in, I'm going to be able to get that answer. Something that's very nice about that as well too is when it becomes time that an exchange rate is potentially going to change, the information. So much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.